that's such a a valuable thing to grasp because it can be such a big creative tool. Aren't we thinking small in our ideas because we don't have big budgets supporting our, you know what I mean? So and it's an interesting conversation to be had because people from other departments, when you're the director, there's an instant respect if they can see that you know their craft a little bit.
Hi, I'm Jakob.
And I'm Mark.
And welcome back to On the Reel. Today we are going to be talking to the extremely talented and prolific Morné du Toit. Hi, Morné.
Hi, how's it?
So, speaking more about craft, because we're getting into more craft, looking at Hoof Macy, and then we also watched recently Nullis Nie Niks Nie, which is great.
Amazing.
So good. And we're looking at you're working with children, with young people a lot, and also with the sort of subject matter of Nullis Nie Niks Nie, the sort of young filmmaker, and we can see obviously a lot of you in that as well.
Oh wow!
How do you pick a project first of all, and then what draws you to a project, and then also entirely different question. What is it like working with people that are so young?
Yeah, so I mean, to answer your first question, I guess what draws me is is it good or not, firstly, and then secondly, do I feel it? Does it get me excited? Does it fit into my kind of style of films that I enjoy watching and would want to tell to an audience? So that's the one part of that's a very important part. Is me. I want to make something that I would want to watch. That's a cliche, but makes it so much easier, right? And then working with children, that's something that I was kind of thrown into with Macy. And over the years I've kind of worked a little bit on various projects with kids, but that was a masterclass for me with Macy, working with kids. They are so committed, more than most actors. They really just want to, especially the kids that end up getting the roles, because you obviously audition the parents as well. You kind of, you would
you don't want they're like.
You don't want to get even if it's a very talented kid, if they have parents who you can see they're living their own dreams through the child, then you're actually going to do more damage than good. So there's a bit of a moral obligation as well. Okay. But working with the child who wants to be an actor, who's or wants to experience this himself, not sincerely wants to experience it. That kid, if that kid walks on set, the prep is unbelievable. Guiding them through it, obviously, in pre-production, working on ways to build trust, but by the time you walk on set, the commitment is just astonishing. It gives me thinking of it now gives me goosebumps. And now with Nullis Nie Niks Nie, we were dealing with a subject matter that is very sensitive, a child that is this passionate filmmaker and has cancer and is on his last legs, and dealing with the topic of cancer, which is very real and relatable in today's world, and having child actors portraying these roles, they have a massive responsibility. And I found it it was something I read before we went into making the movies, hand over the responsibility, even if it's a child actor, and tell them, you have a massive responsibility. You are representing Joshua, that kid who we were doing research with, who's now very sick, who since passed away. But that boy, you're representing him. Own it and make us proud and make his mom proud. That's but you'll be surprised by how much they take that to heart and go thank you. Yeah. And how they change once the responsibility is put in there on them, because you want this, right? You want to experience this. This is what making movies is about. Take ownership of your character, and the more you own it, the more you can shoot from the hip, right? You can be more real. So
you're literally treating them like adults, basically.
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very thrilling to see how they actually without any professional training, how they basically get the concept of taking notes, how quickly they you know, like in audition phase, they overperforming, but like to see that, like see them falling into it quite quickly makes you kind of wonder about how important it is to have formal training as an actor, like, because some amazing actors in Hollywood never had formal training, you know, like, so it's kind of this, like, it's just very interesting to see how the different kids and the different personalities end up, you know, delivering to a standard that people will pay to watch. You know? It's like, yeah, so that's the...
It's almost like, when you're saying that, I was thinking it's almost like formal training, performance training seems to be a lot of like unlearning of all of the stuff that
exactly
that we like pack on as we get older to get back to that place.
Yeah. That's the first thing you do in the audition phase of kids, is like get the singing out of them, you know, like get them singing their dialogue, like get that habit out, that habit that most drama teachers teach them, you know, redenaars. You know, like, and then once they get to the essence and listening to themselves, listening to the words, and then get that concept, then it's like, cool, that's acting. You know?
So they're not just
screen acting, rather.
They're not just saying a speech; they're like acting. You know, it's
feeling the
What's the difference working with like the amazing like Liesel the cock versus like you know the kid in Nixney, like what things transfer, what's different, what's like the approach?
Wow, Liesel de Kock was a lecturer at AFTA.
That's
how you guys know.
She's great.
Wow, what an actress. Look, with adults, obviously they know all the, you know, different methods, whatever it is, and it's easier to communicate important, you know, like turning points in a scene, and like in terms of research, you don't have to guide them through it that much. So, but I always have a thing of where I check in with actors to try, and even when I'm performing, like I appreciate it when a director like checks in with me in pre-production, and are you cool? Where's your, you know, like prep at, you know? But working with someone like Liesel de Kock or Shannon Ezra, wow, like just the ability like that these professionals have, or Pietie Beyers, who was also in Siende Blind, the show I did, him and Liesel were...
I want to talk about that as well, if we have time, I don't know.
Just like their ability to, like, you know, like take a note and just deliver exactly that. That's something that helps the process, you know, like, and shooting on tight schedules helps the crew a lot, and the director. Because I guess if you know kind of what you need to hit in that scene, and you give one note, and the only thing that was preventing you from moving on was it was a little bit soft on that line, let's quickly go and pick it up or whatever. Then you like, so the casting parts with adult actors, that's kind of equally important, because you can sit there for 10 takes with an adult actor and still struggle to get the right, you know, like delivery. And that's kind of the things that I obviously try to iron out in the audition phase and the casting, kind of see who can take notes, who can.
So do you do your own casting as well, or are you at least in the room when they do casting?
So most of the time with the show that I did with Okra Media Lioness, co-directed with Josia Malaba, I wasn't involved with the casting of that, and afterwards, after the fact, it was like I would have had more solid relationships with the actors if I was involved in the casting process, because it's a trust thing, right? So I would prefer to be involved from the beginning, you know, because I think that's where your relationship starts, you know. So you end up like having like check-ins through pre-production, whatever. By the time you get on set, there should be complete trust. You know, so I like to be involved, and especially in the room when it's callbacks, you know.
Especially. That makes a lot of sense. If we can circle back to Siende Blind, obviously that was a special project. You guys shot it during or just after like the hard lockdown. So it was one of the first sort of like productions coming back out of the pandemic. What was that like? Like obviously the actors weren't wearing masks for most of it. But then obviously I'm assuming the crew was like keeping their distance. Did that affect your like lens choices, all that kind of thing. What was that like?
Yeah, that was very, like, everyone was super keen to be back on set because we'd just been in like level, I always get it wrong, level 5
Yeah, is the
hard lockdown.
Yeah.
We were in level 2 and then I think moved into 3 and then we were allowed to work. Or was it
3 into 2.
4 into 3?
4 into 3, yeah.
Yes, and then we were allowed to work. And then Taxius Cup, obviously Mnet or CakeNet were, the second that lockdown happened, they commissioned some scripts to be developed. And Siende Blind was one of them.
Oh, that's smart of them.
Yeah. And Taxius Cup wrote this awesome script and phoned me up and like, would I be interested? I'm like, dude, I just want to get out of the house. And also to do something with him, I love his work. Like, I'm a big fan of his writing, and just the way he thinks and like develops characters. He's a real, true professional at what he does. He really knows his stuff. And then I was just like super keen. And by the time we went into production, you could sense that most of the crew were like, let's do this. So we were very lucky because everyone was super willing. And not that part of their energy were abused, because it can easily be, but everyone just gave a lot more than you would in normal situations because everyone felt like we were a tight team, and getting all the COVID protocols and things like that. That's something that was taken very seriously from Channel. They were all of the scenes that were, physical touch or more rather intimate scenes had to be approved by, Channel. We had to change one of the scenes a little bit, and then
obviously no kissing.
No kissing, and there was a sex scene with Pietie Beyers and Liesel, and that had to be very basically choreographed to death, and no kissing. And we found a way to make it intimate without kissing.
Yeah,
and
I think you guys did a very good job.
Thank you. Yeah. And it didn't affect lens choices that much. We had a smaller crew. It was a limited location, and we had a Nachtvluchtfilms produced the producers on it, and they did a great job at managing everyone, keeping everyone safe. No one got COVID during our shoot.
Great.
So it was a good learning experience to be thrown into a new way of work. Yeah.
So obviously restrictions is a thing that we speak a lot about on our channel, when we sort of in podcasts or even giving advice and what we've learned, and a lot of the sort of driving force behind the original 6 shows that we made and even everything going forward actually is restrictions. We set ourselves, we know we have this location, and we write within that location, and it's almost like we learned about clowning once to do when we're doing research, and he said something really interesting about how you can sort of look about clowning at anything. It's like a lens, right? And with our film Just In Case was because we had access to a lot of DVDs, and we're like, okay, what can we tell with that? And it's just looking at, it's like a way of looking at things, like clowning.
What can you do with this?
What can we do with this? What story can we tell with this? And then, as you're saying, it's tying back to learning like a muscle. You start to train it as like a muscle. What was that like? Because obviously in Siende Blind, those restrictions are enforced, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? Even from the scripting point of view, did they have any restrictions for Tacius when he was writing? And then also when you got onto set, what was that like? And sort of just restrictions in general.
Yeah. So, that's restrictions are to me the most valuable thing if you can find a way to. And I actually had a hashtag with I lecture at TUT once a week with the students. We made them do a university protected environment for simulation of 48 hour, where you give them a brief, here's your props, here's your locations, go make a short Friday afternoon, come back Sunday afternoon, bring us your project. You're getting evaluated on it, boom. And that's such a valuable thing to grasp because it can be such a big creative tool, and the hashtag was embrace your limitations. So like, and I think so. To answer your question, Siende Blind was very much written to be in like limited location because of COVID, and it was like a, it was part of the brief to Tertius.
Okay.
But what the value, I see the value in that is that if you're creative, you can make anything out of nothing, right? We can make a short film with these 3 props and three characters, and a couch in a room, and it's like and we can make any genre actually. They can kill somebody with that cup. You can win someone's heart over. You can, there's so much you can do. So I think that is part of what makes South African filmmakers very, very like dangerous on the international platform, is the fact that we have so many restrictions because of the fact of that we have limited budget. So we find solutions to tell the story, to still be able to tell the story. And there's an argument, something I've thought about a lot is, yes, it's a good thing, but isn't it also, aren't we thinking small in our ideas because we don't have big budgets supporting our, you know what I mean? So like, and it's an interesting conversation to be had, because if you're always thinking to make something with small, like thinking with bigger budgets, I've worked on like some commercials or jobs where I had like money to do things, and then you go like, it's like some other rooms in your head opens up and like, we can let the camera travel from there all the way here, but why do I want to do that? Why not? If you can afford and it's motivated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that first like go to in your creative mind is that's not an option. But now what if it is an option? Like where would your creativity go? And you look at some of the films that are being produced with big budgets. I'm just like, what was that Ryan Reynolds movie with the game? With the simulation, the character in the simulation game. Free Guy. Free Guy, for an example. I mean, the fact that they were able to pull all of that off, they wouldn't have thought of doing the film if they didn't have the confidence that they will be able to sell that world realistically, and that's like a creative confidence that my movie that got me into wanting to make movies, it's like, or that changed me, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, animation and live action mixed together, and like that's something that you need to have a creative confidence for before you think of that idea, so I mean it's
very interesting. It's an interesting thought experiment. As you were thinking, as you were talking, I was also like, we don't have any like post-apocalyptic South African movies, or we have to wait for Avengers to come here before we just explode a building. So that's interesting. But
also these days you can do so much more with animation and graphic visual illustration. So like I mean,
that's also a budgetary.
I still think that we can still, make the story with the cups, right? But then it's about, that's what it is on an event level. But then the themes can still be like as big as all the other films. You know what I mean? And because at the end of the day, you're not gonna stick around for the scope. You're gonna stick around for like the story, theme, right? Or like, I always think of it as like, if you're gonna tell like a post-apocalyptic story, for example, and you've got nothing, you do one shot where you show what's outside, and then the rest is inside. You know what I mean? It's like, I still think that you can sort of have that kind of thinking, and I mean, even when you're given, something to write and there's not a lot of budget, if you're just thinking big event level, you're not going to be able to do the like moment to moment stuff. And I think even when you get to that bigger budget level, at the end of the day, even the hugest film is going to have a scene with 2 people talking to one another. And it's like, if you can't do that, it's like building blocks, Obviously, if someone gives us a huge budget, I'm not going to be like, no, sorry. I'm going to be like, heck yeah, let's do this. But like, I get you. Like it does like unlock that sort of thing. But even with speaking to some people who are like just out of film school, their ideas are so good, but it's like huge. It's like, you're gonna have to imply a lot of that stuff if you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to get the moment to moment stuff down.
Totally.
You know?
And that's always the thing with like these short films, right? Why it's so important, especially like 48 hour silver scale. It's like, here's your budget. And then often those big ideas that you're referring to now, those massive ideas, or like feature films being crammed into a 10-minute film, that's the only way to learn, is by making a movie that nobody engages with, and you like, and you sit there in the audience. Some of the students at university, they feel what it feels like when nobody laughs at your jokes. Or at the end of the story, everyone's going, what was the purpose of that character? Because so much is left out.
Yeah.
And then next time they do it, thinking a little bit smaller with their ideas, but big in creativity, so that's a skill to develop as filmmakers, I think, as filmmakers anywhere in the world, right? To be able to like work with what you have and then expand from that. If you have a lot of budget,
it's like,
you work with that.
I was just thinking, because with that is like, I'm not like taking shots or anything, but it's just like what I've seen is like some directors who work on a really good, make really good films on like a smaller scale. When it starts getting bigger, they're like, the adjustment doesn't really work well, and like something's like lost, you know what I mean? So I think it's like it's just like, I don't know if you've noticed it as well, like when there's like a really good indie director and then they're given, the reins and given bigger budgets, like, I don't know, there's sort of, I suppose like, a big budget is like a big responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Just because you have more money doesn't mean you just can do, you still have to have those like, so you're saying those like moments down the like.
It's easier almost to make films with smaller intimate crews that travel fast and like stick to like I guess you're referring to like something like the essence of what was good about their work before, and now it's like not there.
Sort of stretched out over big events.
Interesting to think about.
Duplass brothers, they, got the opportunity to work on the bigger scale. And then they were like, oh no, we actually don't even want to.
The who brothers?
That Mark and Jay Duplass. They made like the Puffy Couch and Blue Jay. And
it's the cavalry isn't coming people.
Yes. And they turn it down.
Yeah, they sort of got these sort of big opportunities, and then almost like really early on to make a sort of film with a big budget. I don't even think it got released. It was like such a thing. And then they really like carved this like niche of like making these smaller films because they don't even want to, work on the huge budget because they just, it's not what they want to.
It's not appealing to them.
It's not appealing to them.
Yeah.
It's almost like some directors also just thrive in like a huge budget, but then can't do the reverse.
Yeah.
So it's like also just finding what you are attracted to. Right?
Yes. And I guess like what the story and the script requires. Like nothing better than having script and a budget that matches what you want to achieve with the script. It's like,
Awesome. Okay, so last question, and then we'll close it off. We always ask people these questions, and I think you might have had some of the most experience of all the guests that we've had on this couch. What is something that you would tell other people who also want to, or just getting started? What do you tell your students even when they ask you for like advice in the industry?
Oh, wow. Okay. So the first would be is starting out, just be willing to work on any production free, of, like not expecting to be paid. Getting paid in the first year after film school is a bonus. Like, and a lot of people will actually pay, have internships that are paid internships, but is just get onto a set and start to build a network with people that are working in the industry, because that will become your employer. If you work in the camera department, make sure that you impress the gaffer and the first cam assist. If you work in directing, whatever, and to not be scared to work in departments that you're not strong in, because I think some film schools specialize from like the first year or second year already, where others and you start specializing in third year. So you learn like a broader scope of all the departments. And I think when you know a little bit of everything, you, especially for me as a director, you end up not just being able to like have your own business by making corporate films, music, whatever it is, but you also there's a instant respect and when people from other departments, when you're the director, there's an instant respect if they can see that you know their craft a little bit. You understand a little bit about at how many decibels is the mic going to peak or whatever it is, so there's almost like to learn a bit of all the disciplines is something I consider a responsibility as a filmmaker, not necessarily a specialist in. I'm talking in my experience, right, as a director. It's been a valuable asset to me. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
what I would say. Yeah,
That's very good. That's very good.
I hope that's something to.
No, it definitely is.
on.
Like, I mean, I've definitely also, both of us did, post-production stuff.
Yeah.
In our undergrad, and that's really helps us.
Yeah.
Yeah, on set
Totally.
to just know how things are gonna
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah.
Data
So
wrangler, what's he doing there? Why is he there? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
Awesome.
I honestly don't understand how someone can direct without understanding like editing or something.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's
Totally. Yeah.
So it's like you're trying to direct something in the language, as it sounds pretentious. You're trying, it's like you're trying to direct something in the language like of cinema that you don't speak because you don't know how to like cut things together. You know what I mean? It's like, how are you supposed to like picture it if you don't?
Yeah, it's like a massive, it's a fundamental, I consider it a fundamental skill to have if you're a director. But some directors are more performance focused and have relationships with DOPs that they trust, can fill that gap. And I mean, that's also, there's a place for that as well.
Yeah. That collaboration.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was very, very interesting, very insightful. Really, I mean, I had learned so much from that.
Oh, well, I learned from you guys.
Oh.
I mean, this is what you guys are
I
doing.
doubt
This is
it.
super cool. I mean, yeah, I'm inspired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't know how
Totally.
true that is, but thank you.
No, like you guys look at this edit suite. You guys are like your movie posters up. And that Back to the Future poster, you better lock your doors because I might. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it for this conversation. I hope you liked it, and yeah, big thanks to Morné for all of his valuable insights and tidbits of information that you can take forth into your filmmaking career. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a question down below, and maybe you can ask Morné a question and we can try and get back to you. Who knows? We'll see. Ask a question. Until next time, go out there, stay safe, and make your movie.